It has been 12 days and Travis Decker still isn't in custody. What is going on? There is an active manhunt underway right now for Travis Decker, which is accused of unaliving his 3 children on May 30th. We've heard from the grief-stricken mother, Whitney Decker, in her description of his mental decline. Washington lawmakers and advocates demanding reform for their family courts happened today. Also at the event is Kathy Sherlock. Kathy is from Pennsylvania. Her story resembles that of the Decker sisters. Her daughter, Paityn, was unalived by her husband in 2018. She states much like the Washington courts, Pennsylvania courts knew of her husband's mental illness and knew that there was issues. Much like the Decker case, and although hundreds of miles away in Pennsylvania, the police also did not issue an Amber Alert in her case. This group's advocation is to keep dangerous parents away from their children. These advocates further state that if judges would have taken the mothers in the Deckers case as well as the Sherlock case seriously, we would not be in this situation. Family court judges should only order supervised visitation when the parent poses a risk to the child. They are also demanding more training for the judge and better risk assessments. Kathy Sherlock case as well as Decker case was completely preventable. When will this manhunt end? I really don't know, but hopefully they find Travis Decker soon. If you have any information about where Travis Decker may be, please call local law enforcement. God bless each and every one of you. Well, good morning, my beautiful people over here at Tik Tok. It's nice to see you all. I didn't even realize I didn't have you guys on this thing. Instead of making you guys motion sickness, might as well dock you. There you go. Well, good morning, everybody. Walter, Terry. Oh, it's nice to see you. Savitri Ram, Max, Walter. Oh, we got some guys on here. Oh, that's kind of cool. Usually in true crime, it's mostly women. I don't know how to say that it's mostly women. So I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're covering the case of the Decker sisters as well as their father's manhunt. This is Travis Decker. He is wanted. There is a massive manhunt in Washington State that has Border Patrol, Secret Service, Homeland Security, the FBI, U.S. Marshals. The manhunt investigation is now in the command of the Border Patrol for Decker. I gotta say, I have different experiences, okay? I have the experience of Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie. I know that case intimately. And a lot of the details here in this case, even though different, we're dealing with a father and children versus a boyfriend and a girlfriend, but the environments are similar, okay? That's the difference. The environments are similar. If you guys recall, Brian Laundrie drove his mom's Mustang out to the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, and it was abandoned. The park rangers called the parents, 2 days later and said, look, if you don't have this car picked up, we're towing it. Not realizing the relationship, and then when they did, that's when Brian Laundrie was reported missing. And this massive manhunt in my state, in the state of Florida, in Sarasota County. I'm in Manatee County, just north of Sarasota. So I was down there the entire time covering this story from the front of their home, basically. And they ended up having another fugitive. Don't mind Delilah, she's just playing. It's her morning. They had another fugitive out there in the Carlton Reserve fleeing arrest. And so they picked up the heat, they picked up the scent, they moved the massive search efforts from Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park all the way 45 minutes north into Venice to Carlton Reserve, which is on the other side of the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. And they started their efforts there and started moving into the swamp where they talk about having water up to their chest. They didn't need to have water up to their chest. They moved the search efforts all the way 45 minutes north thinking that the person that they picked up on the, the helicopter, the infrared and all of that was Brian Laundrie. So they started chasing this other dude. And then they finally caught the other dude and realized it was another dude. It wasn't Brian Laundrie. And everybody's like, okay, well, where the heck's Brian Laundrie? And then lo and behold, they finally went to the parents, which I believe Brian's parents knew exactly where he had been. I believe that when they went out there to pick up the car, they tried to search for him and they found him. I think that they were over prepared to stay in their house for 5 weeks. Now remember, they were in their house for 5 weeks. They did not have delivery service. They did not go to the grocery store. They did not leave their home. They were ultra prepared to stay in their house for 5 weeks. How do parents know to prepare for that? So I truly do believe they did find him, and that's how they were able to find him so quickly when they went out there with law enforcement. Just my personal opinion. There's nothing to support it. It's just an opinion. Well, we're hearing about this guy, and we're hearing about the scent tracking, and I have been wanting to hear whether they had any items that may belong to Travis Decker. And of course, Sheriff Morrison is giving us this update about this case, and he's basically saying to us that, yeah, we believe it's him, but they are not, he's speaking from a place of confidence, but the words that are coming out of his mouth weren't very confident. They didn't really have anything that they could say belonged to Travis Decker, even though in today's society, we can process DNA in 24 hours. So if they picked up some items, they could have easily done a quick DNA test on some of those items that they found to see if they matched Travis Decker. We haven't heard any results of that. We heard that there was footprints, and we heard that there was scent from the dogs picked up a scent. But, we are also studying a lot of dog stuff, okay? Not just for this case, but for Sebastian Rogers' case, for Summer Wells' case. Literally all the cases that we are covering have some form of dog canine activity in them, law enforcement canine activity. And one thing that we're learning is that dogs are different. So we have scent dogs, we have cadaver dogs, we have other type of scent specific dogs, like for explosive devices, also finding humans in rubble, those types of things. There's different trained dogs for different things. Are they using a tracking dog? Because this is where we got really screwed up in the Sebastian Rogers case, because they were tracking a scent from his house to the construction site. But they were actually doing a ground disturbance dog, so they were following somebody's scent. It just ultimately was not Sebastian's scent. So is that the kind of dog that they may have out there with Decker that picked up the scent? Could he just be picking up the person running scent and it not be Travis? Because I've had this gut feeling that Travis is somewhere out there in Rock Island waiting to be found. And then, of course, and I've been on the fence, and this has brought me off the fence, where I believe, they say that they see this man. They show us this camera of a man ducking in the woods. It looked like he had dark hair. It looked like it could possibly be Travis Decker. That split little clip, if you blow it up, it does look like he has the hair color. That's really all I could see. I don't know what kind of clothes he was reportedly last seen in, and whether this particular hiker had the same type of clothing, because everything that I can see or tell, he should still be in the same clothing that he picked up the girls in. So I'm very curious whether the description of the hikers is that of resemblance of Travis Decker, because that's going to be important. Because again, I've just got different experiences here. I've got different manhunt experiences altogether, and the manhunt experience I had was a very, very large manhunt for a kid that was only 1,500 feet away from ground zero. Okay, and they overlooked him each and every time. Why? Because they thought he was running when he was ice cold by the time they got the thermal images and drones up there. You see what I'm saying? So there's still a piece of me that just keeps arguing with myself whether law enforcement is chasing a ghost or not. And I'd have to think that there are multiple people living off the grid in Washington, in that area, that might have, be running, or fugitives of the law. We've got a lot of people fleeing from the law from different states, from the feds, from a variety of reasons. We got people that are even here from fleeing, their crimes from other countries. So we've got a lot here, and there's a lot of people, and I know that we have one lone man, deranged man on the loose in Washington State, but this is the mountains. What about the crazed lunatic that disappeared off the grid 10 years ago? Where's that guy that everybody forgot about? So I feel some type of way. I'm not quite there. I was starting to feel a little more confident that they were on his trail, but as close as they say that they were to him, and they still haven't been able to find him, that's a little concerning. Like, they have a guy on a helicopter video where you can see skirting out of the view under the trees, under the cover of trees. But then they bring out resources, bring out their foot patrol, bring out their dogs, bring out the ATVs. So we would think that you got them cornered. And, yesterday I was hopeful, we're going to get him today, right? Now we're here on Saturday. There's a massive manhunt still for this man, and nobody, it's hard, and their wilderness is rugged, but I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right with me. I mean, I think, no matter how we look at this, we should not be glorifying Travis in any way, stretch or, way imaginable, because he is a monster. He's a bad dude. Okay. There's a lot of people that struggle with mental illness every day that aren't out here hurting people. They're not out here causing this kind of atrocities. He is, hey Vivian, it's nice to see you. He is from my neighborhood. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's sad, I mean, everything that we can see is that he was a good dude. Something happened in him, and nobody can really explain it. And the only way they can explain it is this mental illness. But mental illness is a weird subject matter, because if you think about it and you look at it and you start looking into, in some cases, especially with men usually get some type of, whatever they're usually getting, they usually get from their father, from my understanding. Now, there is some that do come from the mother, but typically, even for females, from what my understanding is, a lot of stuff is more inherited by the father's genetic makeup than the mother's. But I digress. The problem is most of these mental disabilities or mental illness, they usually don't start, people don't know they have it until certain stages in their life. And typically, my understanding for men as well as women, they start showing effects of that in their mid to late 20s. So schizophrenia, for example, most people don't have these problems. I mean, some do. I'm not painting with a very broad brush. But some of these symptoms don't even start appearing in somebody that has schizophrenia until they're 20s, until their 20s. They may have some type of symptoms that they're unaware of, but rearing its ugly head, like untreated stuff like that, it's my understanding they don't even know they have it until much later. It's not something that's diagnosed early on in their life. Somebody with schizophrenia would be more equipped to answer those questions. But I think the reason why I'm giving you this historical background is because I truly feel like at some point he was dealing with the repercussions of war, being an Afghan war vet, as well as his mental illness starting to kick in or starting to rear its ugly head. And so I think that's kind of possibly how all of this triggered and why he had such a sharp decline, is because he comes back from war dealing with the war effects while his mental illness is now in full speed. Now that's just an opinion. I don't know, but at the end of the day, we don't know where this guy is. There's a piece of me that feels like they're chasing a ghost. And there's a piece of me that feels that it may be him. So I'm still waiting just like everybody else. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the heck's going to happen in this case. I told you guys all of my opinions and feelings about this. Like, there's one theory of mine that he's still sitting in Rock Island campground somewhere waiting to be found. That, you know, everything we've learned about him, the unworthiness, the hopelessness, the helplessness, the fact that he was always at his children's events, that he was always wanting to be part of his children's life, that he went to court, every court, fighting for his children, fighting to see his children, fighting for custody and to have a relationship with his children. This doesn't sound like a father that hates his family. This sounds like a father that loves his family. So something is wrong here. Something is really, really wrong here. But we can't look past that because there's a lot of people in Travis Decker's position, and the result is not the same. So he made a choice. No matter how screwed up your head is, there are a lot of people that know that there's something wrong with them, and when they think about things like what he did to these kids, they change the tune and they say, this is insane. I cannot believe I'm thinking this way. To carry it out, I'm never going to be okay with this. I'm never going to be okay with this. Hey guys, I have a few new videos uploaded on this platform. If you guys would go ahead and start supporting that, that'd be great. I don't know what's, I know the algorithm of TikTok is a little finicky, but the support would be great. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. I checked for any updates on the Travis Decker case before I came live because I didn't come live with you guys yesterday. I was up to my eyeballs in court paperwork and trying to get everything ready for a hearing I have on the 18th. And so I kind of stopped my day. Long story short, I don't know where he is. There was no more press conference. There is no, I need something. Okay. Listen, like I said, let me just finish this up. I need something because I come from a lot of different experiences, and my experiences tell me that things aren't as they seem, period. They're just not as they seem. I learned that in Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, this case, the environment, the strategy, the moving from one location to the other, everything is almost spot on in this Brian Laundrie case. And even me, we came so close to Brian Laundrie and didn't even realize he was there. There were no indicators. There were no, those birds that circle around, the vultures. There were none of that. There was nothing indicating Brian Laundrie was there, deceased, okay? And, a lot of people put that in your mind. Look for the bird activity. Well, we did that. I've got two homicide cases where bird activity was not a factor, and they were both outside in the elements. So we have, and the reason why I tell you this is because I want to educate you, because I, like you, have been told when things are deceased, look for the vultures. They circle around, the more vultures, the larger the item, right? That's what I've always been taught. It's what I've always been told. Well, in the case of Brian Laundrie, as well as Kathleen Moore in Pasco County, no bird activity on both of those cases. None that I could personally see. And trust me, I was next to both of them. So there was nothing. The scent too. There's at Brian Laundrie, we didn't have a strong odor. I mean, when we finally found where he was at, you could smell the strong odor, but it didn't carry. It didn't carry through the area. Like the wind didn't pick it up, and you get a whiff. It's like, oh, he's somewhere. It wasn't like that. That's the scent. The scent also, not a factor in that environment. So these are things that I remember when it comes to Brian Laundrie. And so I'm just concerned because I would assume that there are people living off the land in Washington that are fugitives from the law. Much like when we were getting into the Dylan Rounds case in that little tiny speck of a town in Utah. What was it? Lucin? What was it? I know it was Box Elder County, Utah. I remember that, but I can't remember the place. I don't know why, but Dylan Rounds, there were so many people out there in that dirt, Okay, there's nothing in the area where Dylan rounds. He just wanted to farm, but it was as desolate could be. And there were a lot of people, fugitives from the law, living off the land out there in Utah that were found and uncovered. And it was actually one of those people that are accused of unaliving Dylan. Did he ever tell them where he put Dylan? Did they ever find Dylan? I don't think they ever found Dylan. I really don't. I don't think they ever found Dylan. And he was just a 19-year-old boy that was so proud of himself. He saved and had some family help, but he bought his own farmland. He was about to do it. That boy, only thing he ever wanted to do was farm. Not just farm, but own his farmland, work his farm. He was a worker. He was a young 19-year-old, just all he wanted to, like, you don't find people that just know so early on in life what their gift is and what they're going to do. I mean, I'm 46 years old and I bounce from here to there and everywhere, right? I've worked for CPAs, I've worked for attorneys, I've worked for, I've worked in insurance companies, I've done mortgages, I've sold property, and what do I want to be when I grow up? Some people, okay, it says remains were finally found. Thank you so much for that. I lost track of the case, to be honest with you. I lost track of that case. But, and that's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that they're doing a Brian Laundrie and they're taking their focus and I told you that was one of the worst tactical and strategical errors that they ever made in the Brian Laundrie case, was moving that entire search just because they found heat from another person, and then come to find out it was just another person running from law. They literally moved an entire search because there was a guy living off the land. Like, they did not put into the equation that there could possibly be multiple people running from the law out here in the land. Well, let me put that into the equation of this one, because I have the experience where there are multiple people living out in the swamp of Florida off the land because they're fugitives of the law. And so we weren't able to find Brian Laundrie because we were chasing another fugitive from law, unbeknownst to us. And I just feel I'm scared that might be what they're doing. So I just put the caveat out. I pray to God that they're hot on his trail. I pray to God that they bring him to justice. And I pray to God Whitney can finally, get a little peace of mind. It's not going to change a whole lot. I mean, this lady is probably as broken as you could ever even imagine. It just the thought of what she's going through is enough to make me cry. But I don't really have any more updates. They didn't provide us really a whole lot of information yesterday. I have to think that law enforcement is feeling a little battered and bruised right now. Not just exhaustion, but just this going on and on and on. I mean, today's day 13. By next week, we're about to be. He's going to be on the run for a month, and we've only had this glimpse of a person. I just want a little more. I think after this week we should have, DNA back. We should have something to tell us whether or not they have got anything with his DNA on it. I'm trying to see if it truly is him. And they're withholding that information, and it's like, dude, just come clean. Do you have something that he touched on this trail, or do you not? That's all I want. I don't need to know what it is. I don't need to know how it fits into the investigation. I just want to know that something that you have found along this search actually belongs to this man. That's all I want to know. And so far, we really haven't. Even when the sheriff was directed of, did they find things that, we found some items of interest. Well, are they directly? Well, we don't know yet. Okay, well, they're not giving us a whole lot to give us a strong indication that they're really hot on this man's trail. Now, I because of the scent dogs, because of the footprints, because of what we saw with the helicopter going over and somebody trying to get off into the woods, I feel like it is him. But I also feel like if they knew he was right here, it seems like a calculator could tell them from the time that the helicopter went over him. I mean, a human being is still a human being. And so a human being can only go XYZ fast, okay? Like at the very max speed a human being can go, okay? And you take that and you make a minimum speed and a maximum speed. And then I would think that the cop or the chopper went over, he was right here. Okay, we got crews here. It took us 30 minutes for the crews. Okay, well, how many, if he's running at full speed, how far could he be out of this area? And then put everybody from that area out and start moving them in. I mean, this is not, I don't know what's going on here, and I just wish he would be, I want to know who it is. I just kind of feel like this person might be somebody else. That's why I'm so adamant on trying to find out whether they have anything on this search that links back to Travis Decker. If they have nothing, they're chasing a ghost. Okay, this man cannot go. A human body still functions the same way. He still needs water. He still needs to eat. He still needs to pee. He still needs to poop, right? He still needs to sleep. These are things that you can't force your body to change. Okay? The body's going to do what the body's going to do, whether you want it to do it or not. So they have to have something with his DNA on it at this point. And if they have nothing, I think that's a problem. No? So I'm monitoring it. We'll figure it out, but nothing really new to report. I have no new locations. I will start reading and seeing if there's any more articles. Maybe I overlooked a statement that might mean something. If you guys find anything, don't forget, this is the picture I've got right here on my, because somebody else has used my Facebook group title, but put updates, discussion, and updates. So if you guys see this photo here, this is mine. It's the Travis Decker Manhunt discussion group. And it has about 800 people in it. The newer one, 2,700. So I think because I've been promoting it without showing you guys the title of it, I think people have been going over to the other channel. But that's okay. It's all about avocation of these kids. It's all about getting the information out. But I utilize my Facebook group for information. So when you guys post stuff in my Facebook group, I read it. When you guys make comments or speculate or theorize about information, I read it. It's something that I have access to, that I can read and get a good understanding of what's going on and what my audience feels about this case. So be part of the Manhunt. Go over there, check that group out. If you guys see anything posted in that group about this, if you guys hear anything or hear any breaking news, please send that immediately to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. But thank you guys. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.